Hello dear fashion designers, you're most welcome to another sewing tutorial with Diamond Clothiers. If this is the first time you're coming across this channel, you're welcome and kindly click on the subscription button. So on today's tutorial, I'll be learning how to make this beautiful halterneck jumpsuit for a 10-year-old. And this is the African print fabric that I'll be making use of. I actually have two yards right here and I've gone ahead to cut out the trouser parts, okay? So the full length of this jumpsuit is going to be 33.5 inches. So our half length is 13 inches, and what I have left for the trouser part is 20.5 inches, which actually includes the sewing allowance and the hemming allowance. So from our waist to our hip measurements, I have 7 inches, and from that hip line I'm going to come down by 3 inches for our crotch line. So on the hip line, I'll be taking around hip measurements divided by 4, which is 8. Then I'll add 1 inch to it, which is going to be our sewing allowance, making 9. So on the crotch line as well, I'm going to measure 9. And also on the waistline, I'll measure 9 inches. Then I'm going to connect all of these lines into a straight line. So on the crotch line, I'll be taking a crotch depth and I'll be adding 2.5 inches. Then I'll connect it to the hip line to form a crotch curve. So on the waistline, I won't be imputing our waist measurement right now. For now, I'll just leave it. So I've gone ahead to measure what I have on the crotch line, which is 11.5 inches, and I'll just reduce it by 1 inch. And also on the down parts of the trouser as well, I will reduce it by 1 inch, which gives us 10.5. Then I'm going to connect it and we are done with the front part of this pants. The next thing I'll do is to cut it out. Just like I made mention earlier that the full length of this jumpsuit is 33.5 inches and our half length is 13 inches. So what I will have left is 20.5 inches. I'm going to mark it, which is the measurements from our waist to the full length of this jumpsuit. Okay, I'll roll that into a straight line and cut it out. I'll be using the front piece to cut out the back piece. So go ahead to cut out a fresh piece of fabric that you think will be enough for the back piece. Just make sure that it is wider and longer than the front piece, and make sure that when you are placing it on each other that it aligns by the side. So the first thing to do is to extend the length of the back piece by 1.5 inches and further extend it outward by 2 inches. And on the hip line as well, extend it by 2 inches. On the crotch line, you extend it by 2.5 inches and you connect all of these lines together to form a crotch curve for the back piece. And on other side, on the tie line and the full length of the pant for the back piece, you extend by 2 inches as well. So you connect all of these lines together, and on the waistline you're just going to slant the waistline to the side. Okay, then you cut it all out. So go ahead to cut out a fresh piece of fabric that you'll be using to cut out the front piece of this jumpsuit. So I've gone ahead to rule out a straight line, which is my shoulder line. And from that line, I'll come down by 7.5 inches, which is our shoulder to bust measurement. And our shoulder to waist measurement is 12 inches. Then I will add half inches to it, which is going to make up our sewing allowance. So I'll connect all of these lines into a straight line. So on the starting line, I'll measure 3 inches for the neck width and use 2 inches for the neck depth, and I'm going to connect this into a straight line. I actually don't need this yet, but just go ahead to do that. It is still going to be very useful. So on that starting line, I will take half of a shoulder to shoulder measurements, which is 6 inches. I'll mark it, and for the shoulder slope, I'll come down by half of an inch and connect it to the neck width. So the next thing I will do is to come down by 6 inches from our shoulder slope, which is going to be our armhole line. Then I'll connect it into a straight line upwards. On the center fold of the waistline, I'll come inwards by 3 inches for a dart placement. I'll mark that 3 inches, then I'll connect it to the bust line upwards using my ruler. Then I'll take half of an inch on both sides of this dart leg. Then I'll connect it to the bust line. The next thing I'll do is to take half of this shoulder line. I'm going to mark half of this shoulder line, and I'll use the curved part of my ruler to connect it to the bust line to form a sort of a princess dart. You can see what I have right there. So on the bust line, I'll take in a round bust measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch sewing allowance, which gives me 9 inches. And on the waistline as well, I'll take a round waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch sewing allowance, and then the dart that we took on the waistline as well, I'm going to replace it, which gives me 9 inches as well. Then I'm going to connect it to the bust line. So to cut out the halter neck, on the center fold of the neckline, measure 2.5 inches. On the round neckline that we measured earlier, measure 2.5 inches. Please note that when you open it up, it is going to be 5 inches. So take notes of that 2.5 inches, and you know that we haven't done our armhole curve earlier, so go ahead and do that just as I've done. So from that 2.5 inches, you extend it to the midpoint of the armhole using a straight ruler. Okay, so that is that about the alternate of this part. So you can go ahead to reduce yours if you don't want it to be 2.5 inches, but you know this is for a child and I don't want our body to exposed, so go ahead and cut it out. So this is the part that we need for the front, and because I'll be using the front piece to cut out the back piece, I won't open the princess dart first of all. Okay, so go ahead to get a fresh piece of fabric that is wider than what you have in front and place it on each other. So on that piece of fabric that I'll be using for the back, I'll measure 2 inches for the zipper allowance. Okay, I'll use 2 inches. Then I'm just going to start cutting from the waist measurement. From the waistline, you cut across the side, the armhole, the neckline. I hope you remember that for both the back and the front, the neckline is still going to be the same. So go ahead and cut, cut, cut. So don't forget to open up the zipper allowance side as you can see me doing, and then you go right ahead to cut open the princess dart for both the back piece and the front piece. And after you are done, separate the back from the front, and then you also go ahead to cut out a lining for both the front and the back. After cutting out all of these linings, then you start sewing. You take it to your sewing machine to start joining one piece after the other, the lining separately and the main fabric separately. So after I was done, this is what I have for both the front and the back. And of course, the next thing we have to do is to continue sewing. You thought you are done. Oh no, we are not. So make sure that the right piece of the front and the lining are facing each other. Okay, the right part, make sure they are facing each other. And then you are going to be joining the center back through the the armhole and the side, please leave the neckline and the waistline open. Then you do the same thing for the front piece as well. And also for the pants, here comes our pants. You're going to be joining the center piece of the front and of course for the back as well. So after I was done joining it together. This is what I have, and for the front as well, this is what I have. Please go ahead to iron. I've just done the same. Okay, so what we'll be doing next is to join both the pants and the top together for the front, and also for the back you join both the top and the pant together. But we are going to be making little adjustments on the pants of the back. Will come down by 6 inches from that joining. You open it up by 6 inches for your zipper intake. Okay, so let's place this aside and then we work on the neckline. So for the neckline, here's the band that I've gone ahead to cut out, and it is 3 inches wide, and on forward it is 1.5 inches wide. Okay, so I've gone ahead to notch the center front. Please, you can decide to make this longer if you're not sure of what the neckline is going to be. What you will do is to place this piece of fabric that we're using for the halter neck underneath the neckline of the front piece of the top. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. Just look at what I'm doing. I don't even know how to explain this. Place it underneath where the lining is, okay, by half of an inch. Then you pin it all around. So when you are done pinning, you are going to be flipping over the other side of this belt, of this neckline. You place it on top of the part that you've just pinned, and then you are going to sew it. You are going to stop stitch it with half of an inch as well. I hope you understand what I'm trying to do. So while we were cutting this out, remember that the other part that is connected to the neckline, what I have left there was around 1.02 on fold. So that should give me 2.5 inches. So that means that the distance between the neckline of the front and the neckline of the back is 2.5 inches. Then I'm going to measure that 2.5 inches and pin it down. Okay, I'll pin it down with half of an inch just like I did to the front piece. So the remaining fabric, you pin it for both the right back and the left back, just like you can see me doing. You pin it. After you are done pinning, you flip the other part of the fabric on it. So after I was done sewing, this is what I have. I hope you actually understand. If you find it difficult to understand, kindly watch it over and over again. So I fixed the neckline, I've joined both the top part and the trouser part together, and I've created the belt as well. So the belt I have here is 62 inches long and it is 2.5 inches wide. I've gone ahead to fix the zipper as well, and I've hemmed the trouser parts. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you find it useful, I hope I'll see you in my next tutorial. So let me know how you feel about this jumpsuit in the comment section, and don't forget to click on the subscription button if you haven't done that, and kindly put on your notification bell as well. I hope to see you in my next tutorial. Bye.